Hello again. It's funny because I suppose I didn't expect this or see it to the degree that it was going to go to. A little bit, maybe, but not to the same degree. But for 4 years, I kept getting the same thing. It'll be Trump, not because that's what I want or don't want or any of this. I know Trump is not seeking the kingdom first. Um, you know, the division that's going around everywhere, and it has been for so long, since forever, since the beginning, is just insane. It's just insane. People aren't doing what they did back then, get together and seek the truth, put everything they think aside and seek the truth, and then the Father gives them an answer, you know, at what people like to call the JC event, the Jerusalem Council. What do we do with these new Gentiles? Well, they asked the Father what to do, and he gave an answer. Start them off with this and don't put any further burden on them for now because it might turn them off. You know, you don't go up someone you don't go up to someone that's not a believer, has never believed anything, right? Just atheist, whatever their belief is, some other religion, um, and start pounding at them. Like, here's a list of everything you need to do. That's not how it works. You don't do that. Maybe you give them a few very good, a path, they're more than just recommendations, because commandments aren't recommendations or like opinions, but you give them something to follow, a direction to start them with. And that's exactly what happened in Acts. That's what happened in Acts to the new believers. Something that they could be one with, otherwise, they were doing some pretty foul stuff. And these were supposed to be united with the Jews and Gentiles all being one, right? But the devil has created that division ever since then and put that wall back up that was torn down, that divider. One of the great messages of the gospel and, the teachings in the New Testament is that the mystery, a huge part of it, was the grafting in of the Gentiles from all over the world. Doesn't matter. And the Hebrews didn't believe this or understand it. They, even when it started happening, they were marveling and in wonder. The true believers were happy, of course, but they were still shocked. All the rest of the Jews and stuff, they didn't like it. They didn't like it, that they were becoming one. No, you can't be us. So what's the teaching today? Everywhere. We're the church and they're them. That's evil. It's the most wicked, evil teaching, one of them, that there is. I don't, I suppose people aren't going to be in agreement about every little detail, but there's some things that are just way too foundational that if you're in disagreement with, man, you just call you out as a heretic if you think that that wall still exists. If you don't believe that Hebrews, Jews, if you will, okay? I like to say Hebrews because that Jew is like the line of Judah. It was like the only tribe that was in Jerusalem at the time. One or two or whatever, and then the rest were already kind of scattered. So it's not just Judah, but Hebrews and Gentiles are supposed to be one. That's the message. Whole church world doesn't teach this. Whole church world doesn't teach this. None of it. None of your standard denominations, which is when someone says denomination, just think division. Think of how crazy this is, that these kind of thoughts aren't even allowed to enter your mind until you seek truth. When someone says, oh, Christian, what denomination are you from? You should spiritually slap that person in the face and wake them up. If you walk away and say nothing, you didn't edify your brother. You didn't do anything. You accepted evil and walked away. That sin is on you. But who cares about scripture, right? Who cares about every fine detail and doing what's right? If someone comes up to you and says that and you say nothing and don't make it known that that's evil and wrong, what denomination are you from? Then you also have joined and become evil just as they are. How many scriptures would I have to read to prove that point? Which I could, but you should know that they're in there. The scriptures teach this, and these teachings didn't change. Just didn't change. His word is still true. Every word. Translated. What division are you from? Can you now see why that's really evil? What division of Messiah are you from? Because denomination is division. They're not one. I just happen to have, like, I don't know why, I guess a dollar bill here, you know. One. And everyone should know, I mean, that this is the devil's playground, okay? Do you see that? That pyramid with that? Well, you think it's all coincidence in Hollywood? They constantly flash this, and all their puppets are constantly putting up these symbols. And there's other hidden meanings in here too. Some people have some interesting ideas, but some are blatantly there and obvious and are not conspiracies. You know, and people don't know their symbols. They don't know that these symbols are all pagan, including this bird. Okay, and I don't go into this really a lot because it's just a giant. This should already be standard knowledge that Hollywood is evil and wicked, and you know this is Satan's kingdom. But apparently, most of Christianity doesn't know. They go so far, and that's it. But then they go along the rest of the way. They don't come out of it completely, which is against the command to come out of here. Come out of all of it, not 10% of it and expose 10% of it. That's not the truth. It's all evil. It's all wicked. And I know someone has a foul spirit when they can't even hear anything. They won't even hear it. They're just, nope, 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 don't talk to me. Nope, nope, nope. You're just a young little jerk that, you know, they think you're the devil. They won't even hear you out, not even listen. They're gatekeepers of Satan's system and his world. And the vast majority of these church buildings are 501(c) government owned. They can only go so far. They're not allowed to trash their system. If you go to these buildings and they're connected like that, man, you're part of the world. I'm sorry, you got to come out of that. You can't be part of some 501(c) garbage where their pastors, shepherds, lie to you and are, you know, I don't even really like these terms that much at all, but they are gatekeepers. They won't tell you the world is not a spinning globe, stupid spinning globe. That's Satan's kingdom, his world, his trashing and reversing of our Creator's creation. You know, at least acknowledge that it's not that. And that globe, that spinning globe, has all connections to evil teachings, like the Big Bang and billions of years. Okay, and the wisdom of this world is foolishness to the Father. So he has made the wisdom of this world to be foolishness. Don't ever forget that. Why are people forgetting that? They think, oh, this person's so wise. He went to school and he did this and he did that and he has all these degrees and awards and trophies. Yeah, I'd be running from that person. I'd be running from that person, most likely. Spiritually running away from that. That's exactly what you don't want to see. Now, there could be a few that were called out of that, but they had this before they were called out. It doesn't mean they're all false, but you know, if it isn't 99.9%, like I usually like to say, if it isn't 99+%, they're false. And they believe in another Messiah. They believe in another Messiah. If every word is true, then part of that every word says that you are anti-Christ. You are anti-Messiah if you believe the Messiah came from divinity and floated down and became a blob of semen. Sorry for being graphic and blunt, but that's what it is. And then incarnated. That's the devil's doctrine. That's the Catholic Church devil system doctrine. And it's evil and it's pagan. It has nothing to do with truth. Messiah came from humanity, Son of Man. Believe the scriptures, you know. I don't have to add or take away to scriptures. I can confidently and without shame read all the scriptures concerning his birth, connection to humanity, where he came from, the genealogy, and how it's not broken, but it continues all the way to Messiah. What's the devil do? Cuts it off right there and says, oh, from divinity, and came through the mother, and this divinity is God, so Mary is the mother of God. You know, I've said this in another video before. They're even hypocritical, exposing the devil Catholic system with their Mary worship and Mother of Mary when they teach the same thing. Messiah is God. He's divinity that floated down literally from heaven and incarnated. And Mary is the mother of God. It's accurate. Why are they blasting the Catholic Church world for their Mary worship when they got it right? You know what I mean, though. They got it right according to the devil's doctrine. It's all logical. But none of this is truth. None of it. None of it's truth. I can read scriptures that says his parents, his mother, his father, and don't have to add and put an exclamation mark and say, oh, in parentheses, legal father, legal parents, legal brothers and sisters. Do they follow every word, every command, not to add or take away, like it says in somewhere in the first 5 books? It's one of the commandments that you're supposed to follow. Don't add to the word, which they add, that he's illegal. Find me one verse that says legal anything. Doesn't exist. So why do you believe it? If you still believe this, why do you believe this wickedness? This pagan incarnation. I'm telling you, because there's foul spirit attached to this. The Trinitarian that happens to see this video is going to get angry and run away, think I'm false, because he's of the devil, because he's anti-Messiah and anti-kingdom of heaven. But he's a puppet made to look like the part, masquerade as an angel. That's what people do. Don't ever forget it. You know, don't just think like Satan. People that are of Satan and their father is the devil, they also masquerade as angels, messengers of light. They do that. That's what they do. They infiltrate and come in. All of it's lies, man. That 2,000 years, you know how much damage they've done, how much they flipped everything backwards and overtook all the truth. 2,000 years, I mean, everything is backwards. Everything, including even the new moon. Everything about creation is backwards. The new moon is a full moon. No one who thinks new, something that's new, old, rusty, leaking, garbage, doesn't run good, smokes, a hole in the wall for a house that's run down, you know, not backwards, you know, the opposite of new, run down, chaos, destruction, darkness. New scripturally too, you know, and spiritually means good, light, complete, full, renewed, light. That's what new means, but Satan reverses everything. They find it amazing. They find it impossible. No way that he could pull that off. Yeah, he did. He did. And all his messengers did. They did it. And when you think about it, when you have such a powerful group of people and system, it's not very hard to do, actually. It's not very hard to brainwash and reverse these things and trick the whole world. And the people who cry out for the truth are thrown on a stake and burned. And they're the ones that conditioned to look like they're evil. They're evil. The truth, people of the truth are evil and wicked. That's what Satan has done. Brainwashed, you know. I don't get into, I'm not telling someone to become like an anarchist, but they've brainwashed the world into believing that like a protest is wicked people do that. Conform to the system. Can't you see that's what they're doing? And the whole world fell for it. Oh, those wicked protesters, I'm just speaking on a carnal level now. They're wicked, going against our country. They're anti this, anti that, It's exactly what he wants. All the sheep believe it blindly, not questioning anything, not seeking the Father for truth. Never doing that. No, never do that. No, never teach your people to seek the Father for truth. Do a study on that. Make a whole 1 hour, 2 hour pulpit sermon about seeking the Father and His will and for all truth. That if I'm a lying minister, they can't say this, speak out and say it. Stand up and show me where I err. No, they don't teach you that. They just teach you to just believe whatever they say. That's it. Just like they do in school. Just believe the teachers. That's it. Don't ever question them, or else you're made to look like an evil person, right? I've even had that experience in school. In school, yeah, you can't question anything. They get the whole people behind them to make you look like you're the crazy one. It's really frustrating. It's spiritually frustrating. Concerning all His truth, it's frustrating. Really frustrating when they actually think, poor Ryan, he needs help. Do you need some help? No, I believe the scriptures, that he is my help. Not you, flesh and blood man. You're not my help. If anything, you're my enemy. The Father and the Messiah are my help. No, I don't need help from you. But people would probably even take this wrong. This is specifically for people that are liars. I don't need their help. I'm not in trouble like they think I am. Deceived like they think I am. Everyone I know. Not a single person believes the truth around me. None. Zero. They all believe in a false Messiah that the Apostle Paul warned of. Another Messiah, another Jesus. They all believe in that Jesus. All of them. Everyone I know. They don't care. They don't ask for truth. They don't do anything. They're doing nothing for the kingdom either. That's my discernment, and that's my rightful discernment. How do they defend themselves? Oh, you're judging. You're judging and pointing fingers. No, I'm not. I'm not doing what you're saying I'm doing spiritually. But that's all the devil could do, is falsely accuse you. Just like if I were to expose some lies of these so-called Jews in Israel, okay? As soon as anybody exposes the lies, you're an anti-Semite, and they're conditioned to believe you're evil and that you're an enemy and a racist. That's what they want everyone to believe. No, I'm not. But they won't believe no, I'm not. They don't believe it. I don't care who those people are, or in any group. I'm going to expose them because they're leading people into the devil's kingdom. And I have nothing to do with that kingdom. Nothing. And maybe I still even need more further pulling out of coming out of her. It's a lifelong process of coming out of her. He's going to pull you out so far that you're just going to be a radical loser in this world, and everyone's going to hate you because you've pulled out of the system completely, and they have not. So they'll hate you for it and persecute you for it. They'll hate people who don't love this world, doing what they're commanded to do. Love not the world, you know? Don't take that command seriously. They think like Messiah gave two like simple commandments. And I made examples about this before. That's all he ever said. Oh man, he said so much more than that. So much more than that, but they don't know. They don't know the parables. They can't see what the parables mean. Because the parables are given so that the common man, the many called, don't understand. That's why they were given, so you don't understand, unless you seek the truth. That's it. Then you'll start understanding. Otherwise, you'll never understand those parables. You'll never understand his words. I'm from above, you're from beneath. You know, you'll just take everything literally and have no understanding. I can tell you what that means, but are you going to believe it? Probably not. The Father has to teach you that, you know. Man obviously didn't teach me that, because man doesn't teach that. Where do they teach that in these church buildings? They don't. So I didn't learn it from the church buildings, just like Paul didn't learn anything from man. I didn't get my revelation and the knowledge of the gospel from man, Paul said, but from the revelation of Messiah himself, directly from the King. But they don't believe it because they're Antichrist, that's why. Nobody teaches this, man. You believe that Messiah came from the sky and incarnated. You're Antichrist. You know, repent and believe in the true Messiah. That's Antichrist. Those words wouldn't be in there if it wasn't important. And they can't say who the many are that are Antichrist in 1 John 4 and other places in the epistles of John. They can't say. Who are the many that deny he came in the flesh? I can tell you who they are. They can't, not even one. They can't point to one person or one group anywhere. They don't know what it means that he came in the flesh. They don't know what that means. Many were denying he came in the flesh back then, and John connected it to Antichrist. This is how you know that you're of the Father or you're of the devil. By this one thing, you can weed him out, you know, with great accuracy, because it's his word. Those who confess that Messiah came in the flesh are of the Father. Those who do not confess that the Messiah came in the flesh, they're of the spirit of Antichrist. And I've questioned, you know, I've challenged it. Where are the many? Who are they? Where in this world? Because there must be many, because his word says there were many back then. Surely there's many now. But if we can't even agree on that, then we can't agree on anything. So where are the many Antichrists? Where are they? To the church world, to all the denominations, that they can't say. Who are they? Even the Catholics believe he was a flesh and blood man. So what's it mean, and where are they? Where's the many who deny he came in the flesh? No one. They say there's no one. Zero. Not only there's not many, there's none. I could see people thinking like, this is no big deal. I've never seen anyone make a big deal about 1 John 4, you know, and specifically this teaching. It's because you haven't seen many of the truth. That's why. It just hardly exist. No one taught me this. I read that and he gave me the understanding one day, a long time, you know, quite a while back now. I know it's the truth. I know that's the true understanding. I'm telling you who they are. All Trinitarians are antichrist. All of them. All of them. Every single one of them, because they all deny that the Messiah came in the flesh. Exactly what John says is antichrist. No, it cannot be what you say. That there must be another meaning. No, there's no other meaning. Sorry. There's no other meaning. And they can't even give me one. Where are the many? Like I said, even the devils believe that the Messiah came in the flesh, was a flesh and blood man. So where are they? There's none. Everyone who believes in the Bible believes that the Messiah was a flesh and blood man. So there's literally none that deny he came in the flesh, because they think it simply means that he was a flesh and blood man. So they say that the word is lie, Father's words are lies. Not only are there not many, there's none. But I'm telling you, there are many. It's all those who say he came from divinity and was incarnated, specifically that teaching. Incarnation. Man became God, the God-man. I'm telling you, that's straight from the devil. That's from divinity. He didn't come in the flesh, according to Trinitarians. He came from divinity. Mary was just a vessel. She just birthed him. That's it. He didn't come from in the flesh, according to the flesh, from the bowels of David, from the loins of David, according to the flesh. In Revelation, you got red letters, meaning they're his words. I'm the offspring of David. Is there two meanings to offspring? Is that who our Father is? Two different meanings to offspring? The normal, natural meaning, which everyone knows what that means, offspring, from the daddy's line, and grandpa, and then the dad, and that had a kid, and that kid is the son of that great-great-grandpa, because from the line, literal, physical, flesh, connected, right, through the seed, which is what it says. He would be from the seed of David. Connection. Real, physical, literal line. That's what the scriptures teach. Which means he had real, literal, physical parents and brothers and sisters. Just like you likely have brothers and sisters. So did he. So when they say he came from divinity, they cut off that truth completely. It's another Messiah altogether. It is of Antichrist, because that's what it says. That's exactly what 1 John 4 is teaching. Those who say he's from above, literally came from divinity, is of the Antichrist spirit. I'm telling you, this is how you know, how you can weed out fakes right away, whether they're working for the devil or working for the Father, whether they're of Satan's kingdom or of the true kingdom of heaven. That's how you can know. That's why we're given those words. Anyone who denies he came in the flesh is of the spirit of Antichrist. They deny the literal physical flesh connection and genealogy and offspring. They deny it, but they come in pretending, saying, oh yeah, son of David. You can't say that. How is a seed that didn't come from David a son of David? How could Messiah say, I'm the offspring of David, but the seed didn't come from David? It's total foolishness. Total insanity. Besides being Antichrist and evil, it's total stupidity, illogical nonsense. Let's see what offspring even means. Maybe we need to start with the basics. What does offspring mean?
According to dictionary.com, a child or animal in relation to its parent or parents. A descendant, descendants collectively, the product, result, or effect of something, the offspring of an inventive mind.
Descendant, child or animal, relation to its parents. Isn't he also called the descendant somewhere of David? You know what offspring means. I shouldn't even have to do that. There's one meaning for offspring. But the whole church world will like to tell you that there's also another meaning that's fully 180 and opposing to this true meaning. There's not two meanings to offspring. Offspring is you're literally connected through the line, through the seed. Great-grandfather, grandfather, father, son, literally related, connected. The offspring of, the descendant of. Scriptures just tell you that right in your face over and over again and make it pretty important. It's repeated a few times in the New Testament that he's a descendant of David. And tribe of Judah, other ways, the connection. And that he didn't come from the priestly Levitical priesthood line. So how on earth could he be a king? Because he took the order of Melchizedek, that's why. Of which some say and read in Hebrews that Melchizedek didn't have an end or beginning. And they literally think Melchizedek just was like God or something, and then Melchizedek died. It's not talking about that. It's talking about the line. There was no beginning or end to his line. The Father just chose him. Boom, you're the priest, period, because you're chosen. It wasn't according to a priestly line. The teaching's actually kind of funny if you can see this a little bit. There's a little humor to it to me. He could be the king because he could be the king because the Father chose him. That's why. He didn't come from a kingly line or anything. A priestly line. Neither did Melchizedek. There was no beginning or end to he was just chosen, priest. So he's the priest according to that order, which has no beginning or end. According to that genealogy, no beginning or end. But people actually teach that to promote their stupid Trinity. They actually think Melchizedek had no beginning or end, which means that he is the creator. No beginning or end. But then Melchizedek dies. And then you just have more contradictions and evil. No understanding. Melchizedek, who had no beginning or end. Let's see if I can find these verses.
According to University of Notre Dame, the author of Heb 7-3 affirms of Melchizedek, he is without father.
I'll be quiet. What the world teaches is evil. To whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all, first being translated King of Righteousness. King of Righteousness, that's right, because he was a type of the true king. The second fulfillment, I went over this before. Many first and then second fulfillments. The real thing, and Messiah was an example of so many of those types that became the real thing, the second full true fulfillment. And then also King of Salem, meaning King of Peace, without father, without mother, without genealogy, having neither beginning or days nor end of life, but made like the son of Elohim, remains a priest continually. Do people understand what this is actually saying? They don't. Consider how great this man was, to whom even the patriarch Abraham gave a 10th of the spoils. He makes his point, that this is how the Messiah would take over that line in the order of Melchizedek, not any other order, which has no father or mother concerning the genealogy, without genealogy, okay, like the Levitical priesthood did have, having neither a beginning of days nor an end of life. The reason why this was so is because that's what the Messiah would be. That's why he could be the King of Kings, because there is no rules of genealogy. There's no beginning or end of life to the genealogy. It doesn't have anything to do with mother and father. Okay, it has nothing to do with Melchizedek actually himself, the life, having no beginning and end. Or they literally teach Melchizedek didn't have parents. There's no genealogy in Genesis. That's what he's saying. And there is no genealogy or line that comes from mother and father, right? In Melchizedek's priesthood. That's what that means. It's not talking Melchizedek is the eternal one, no beginning or no end. Where is he now? Didn't he die? You know, somebody that has no beginning or end can't die. The Father can't die. Melchizedek died. The Messiah died. Okay, when you have a contradiction like this, then you know the understanding must be wrong. The understanding that he had no parents. He just came out of nowhere one day. There he is, Melchizedek, no parents. Who was ever born like that? No one. No one, not even Messiah. Yeah, Messiah had parents. If Messiah had parents, then Melchizedek had parents. Pretty simple, logical, because all his truth is logical and simple. Okay, Messiah had parents. It says so. The scriptures you have, no matter what Bible translation, can't even get it wrong. It says he has parents. The earthly parents, okay, spiritually our Father is the creator, and Son of God, Son of Elohim is spiritual. That's all you need to understand this. It's spiritual. There's no physical connection. The Father didn't physically birth a son. It's spiritual. All the physical about us, there's a spiritual reality and meaning. There's a physical birth, there's a spiritual birth, and it's real. Born again, born from above. That's spiritual. Just picture it like a new baby, but you can't see it. And it's born. Before it was born, it wasn't there. It didn't exist. So you were physically born, and then you need to be born again. Does it have anything to do with physical? No. Because even that Nicodemus, no, not Nicodemus, was it? I think. I don't know why I'm getting confused, but he said, oh, what? You have to be birthed again from your mother? And he says, you don't even understand earthly things. How on earth are you going to understand heavenly things? Impossible. You can't even get the physical things right. You're never going to see the spiritual truth. Aren't you a teacher or something of the Jews? You know, mocking him. Oh, yeah, he mocked him with love. He mocked him with love, but it's a mockery, all right. Aren't you a teacher? Aren't you a great teacher or something? So this birth that needs to happen is spiritual, and it also grows up like physically, like a baby grows up. You learn, put away childish things. Spiritually, you do the same. All the physical testifies to the spiritual truth. And I use that example to prove, for example, that the new moon is a full moon because it doesn't contradict spiritual truth. New creation. You are a new creation in Messiah. And new means full of light. New means light, not darkness, not a conjunction moon or a sliver. That's 5% light and 95% darkness. New is always good. It's light, you know, spiritually. So the physical creation does not contradict that. Just like abiding in the vine, there's a physical truth to that. It's got to have a connection, or else it's going to die and wither. So spiritually, you got to be connected to the Messiah, or else spiritually, you die and wither. Is this something you see? Like, oh, look, he died, or he's dead. He's deceived and he's dead, you know? No, not physically, but you can if you have spiritual eyes. You can see who's alive and who's dead. He gives you that discernment. You picturing some of this spiritual stuff? That's real, it's reality. He's not talking about being dead literally. It's spiritual death. It doesn't mean you can't have a job and live life and all this stuff. It doesn't mean that. You know, some people think like, you know, I don't know what they picture of when it talks about death. Spiritual death. You're not connected to the Father or Messiah. You're dead. In fact, the opposite actually happens. They think they're alive, but they're dead. You know, dead people think they're alive. What do you mean I'm dead? What are you talking about? It's exactly what it teaches. You say you're rich and increased with goods. You think you're rich and alive and increased and everything's good and everything about you is good, but I'm telling you, you're wretched, poor, blind, naked, and miserable. Or you're miserable, wretched, poor, blind, naked. It's spiritual. Revelation is spiritual. Receiving revelation is spiritual. His truth is spiritual. It doesn't mean that there's nothing to do with physical at all, like the physical's just done away with. It's not what I'm saying. Or that there's no importance or aspect of physical anything. It's just that there's a spiritual truth, and that's the higher truth. That's what Messiah said. My words are spirit. You can't see spirit or touch it physically. So therefore, a carnal understanding has no profit, does it? The flesh, or carnal, natural, literal understanding profits nothing. Some people actually need that verse translated for them. You know, that's what it means. My words are spirit, the flesh profits nothing. Flesh meaning things of the physical, literal, natural, the first thought in your mind. Because people are physical, and they think physical, and they think literal, and they think like a beast. But that's not his words. His words are not beast, they're spirit. So when he says, I'm from above, that's spiritual. You're from beneath. It has nothing to do with who's higher on the ground. I came from the clouds. You came from the earth. You know, it's a spiritual teaching. You know, Adam is from the dust of the earth. There's a physical truth to this. Lowly, from the dust. But that means something spiritual, though. You're lowly, like a beast. No spiritual truth or understanding. You're carnal. But those who are from above, that have been born again, receive his spirit. They're from above now because that spirit is from above. The Father is higher spiritually, not just like physically. You know, my ways are higher. My thoughts are higher. It's not talking about like a ruler and let's see how much higher he is. It's not reduced to that. It's spiritual. And so if you're born and have his spirit, you're from above now. No different than Messiah. You're from above because you're connected to the Father who is from above, who is higher than all. You know, he's from above. That spirit came from above. And spiritual. You could see these spiritual truths. You could see who the wolves are and all these things in carnality. So he says, I'm spiritual, you're carnal. That's just me translating what I understand. That's what it means. I'm spiritual, you're carnal. You Pharisees are carnal. Get with it. You know, how much longer do I have to put up with you snakes, carnal people? You know, and they would say, but look, can't you read, Ryan? It says he's from above. Tell me what that means. I did. I just told you, but do you believe it? Do you believe that's what the scriptures are actually saying and what they mean? I didn't just say, you know, I didn't just mock an incarnation and not give an explanation now of what that means. I gave the explanation of what it means to be from above. You're supposed to be from above, from the kingdom of heaven, not this wicked kingdom, Satan's kingdom on the earth here, lowly, skunk-like, you know, devilish, satanic, the god of this world. Wickedness. All he does is lie and lie and lie. Man. Some of these verses won't pop out until you start seeing some of these truths, you know. Let the Father be true, but every man a liar. Isn't that true? Everyone's lied. Most people continue to lie. Knowingly, too. They don't give up their pastorship. They don't repent. when they're confronted with the truth. They just accuse you. Oh, where'd you get that understanding? You just spiritualizing away everything? No, I'm not. I'm not a Gnostic. What they're going to accuse you of being when that's actually who they are. That their Messiah came from divinity and they are the original Gnostics concerning this one truth here. That's actually Gnostic teaching. That's what the Gnostics, they could not believe the Messiah came in the flesh and was a normal human being just like everyone else. They could not believe that a normal human being could be who he was and overcome sin. So they created the pagan thing that existed way before and just adopted it. Oh yeah, the pagan trinity. And then the gods having sex and incarnations, and Christianity adopted it and became pagan. And they taught these pagan things because they couldn't accept either that the Messiah was flesh and blood. Just like us, no different, not an ounce different. In fact, some of you were better looking than his earthly tent. You know, maybe most of us were better looking. And what I say by that is like most of the people in the world who would cast their opinion would say we're better looking than Messiah, like if you could picture him, you know. Isaiah says he wasn't. I don't want to read that. I'm not saying what he is now. I'm just saying, you know, when he was on the earth in the flesh, that he wasn't good looking. He wasn't comely. He wasn't comely. No, it's not catching it. So here's a trick. Isaiah, he wasn't comely. There it is. Sometimes you just have to add one word. Isaiah 53:2. I don't really know of any other verses that touch on physical anything, you know, looks and stuff except this. There might be one more, but if there is, there's only one more. But I think this is the only one. Because a true disciple doesn't make a big deal about themselves. In fact, they always talk to themselves like in the third person a lot, you know, we read. It's even my belief that it's very possible that the book of John, the Gospel John, might have been written by Lazarus. You know, people gave the titles. They could be wrong. That's not divinely inspired, you know what I'm saying? People put that on there. That's something interesting you can look into. It's not a big deal or anything. It's just that the one that he loved clearly in the scripture in John says it's talking about Lazarus. And then at the very end, he says, you know, that's the one whom he loved, like he was special. And I think Lazarus was, resurrected. So he had a real close bond to the Messiah because what he did for him. The more he does for you, the more sin he pulls you out of, you know, and scriptures even teach that, the more you have appreciation of, right? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or comeliness, and when we see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. And it goes on. Bruised for our iniquities, the chastisement of our peace was upon him. Stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. Let's see Isaiah, what the concordant reads. It's a very literal translation. And he is coming up as a layer plant before him, and as a root sprout from the earth that is arid. Sometimes his translation's so literal, he tries to get every Hebrew word a different English word, its own word. So arid, I'm not familiar with arid, but if you look it up, it's going to be in, it's going to have the proper meaning. No shape has he, nor honor when we shall see him, and no appearance nor loveliness that we will covet him. Despised is he and shunned by men, a man of pains and knowing illness. And as one concealing his face from us, despised is he, and we judge him of no account. Let's see what Rotherham says. The King James only people are silly, man. Apparently they don't get any benefit from looking at different translations to kind of get a fuller picture or flavor, if you will, which is helpful because a lot of times the Hebrew word has sort of another, meaning to it. It's not just one English word so many times. When he came up as a sapling before him, and as a root sprout out of dry ground, he had neither beauty nor majesty. When we beheld him, there was nothing to behold, that we should desire him. Despised was he and forsaken of men, man of pains and familiar with sickness. Yea, like one from the face is hidden, despised, and we esteemed him not. So they're all right on target, wasn't good looking, like literally. Nothing to look back on, nothing to look twice back on, So what's the devil do? Gives him a nice kind of feminine, pretty man look, white, long hair like a woman down, like a woman. Everything backwards. If his hair wasn't long, like that of a woman, then they give him long hair. If he was a man of color, then they make him white. The opposite, as far as you can go. If he wasn't good looking, like I just read from different translations, then we'll make him a good looking dude that most people will say, like, yeah, he's pretty good looking. And if you watch any movies with their version of Jesus in there, most people would say, yeah, he's pretty good looking. Everything backwards, right? Everything. That's Satan's signature. Never forget it. It reverses everything. So then if he was, as scriptures teach, came in the flesh, Son of Man, literally, that's why he said he's the Son of Man, the offspring of David, Son of Man, we'll do the exact opposite. No relation. Cut it off completely, and he come from divinity. That's what Satan did. It's the opposite. Everything he does is backwards. If there's one God, one true creator, father, we'll twist it the best we can, So sure, we still have to claim that it's one because it's too obvious that he's one. It's too obvious, but no, he's three in one, all coexisting eternally and co-equal. The Son is co-equal with the Father in the same age, apparently. You can get into some really stupid carnal stuff here. Total stupidity. What does his own creation testify? That no son could ever be the same age as the Father. Ever. I don't care if he had him when he was 16. Still, he's not the same age, sorry. But co-equal, co-eternal. And then the Father calls him a son, making a total foolishness, a mockery out of son. Totally blasting the meaning and definition of it completely, trashing it. That's who our Father is. That's what he does with words. Oh, he's my son, but he's co-equal and coexistent, co-eternal. But I'll call him son. Nonsense. And once again, Son of God, Son of Elohim is spiritual. It's a spiritual birth. It's not a physical connection. People can't see it though. And I didn't even get to what I was supposed to on this video. I might have to change the title, because the title is Order Out of Chaos, and it's not showing me on the screen here. Order Out of Chaos and Chaos is Coming. It was going to be a little bit about this election and stuff, but I guess I'll have to change the title and redo another video. Well, that's it. Hopefully someone can get, I don't know, the truth in them. You know, I'm not lying about these things, and everything I say can be backed up with scripture over and over again with no contradictions. But with their teaching, contradictions left and right. Left and right with Trinitarian anything, even remotely Trinity, with its incarnations and everything, contradictions. And then they call us liars, apostatized, we're not Christians. And really, because of what it is, I'm not. You know, I could say spiritual Jew, a believer in the Messiah. You know, the Father is my creator. Don't really have like a name to put over as a title, like, oh, this is who I am, this is my divided denomination, you know. Not interested in that. I'm not going to be put in a box so that someone can spit on the box and take the whole thing down, you know. That's what they're doing, man. That's what the devil's doing. He's sending out those Hebrew Israelites that give you some truth, right? And then they make it known to the whole world that they're haters and a hate group. Of course, they say they're not. And then they hate people just because of their color, something so evil and carnal. So then all of their truth, everything they teach, goes down the drain with that. Oh, you believe the Messiah actually came in the flesh like scriptures say? You're one of those Hebrew Israelite people that hate white people. You know, you must be evil and wicked. So can't stand what's going on because the truth is getting trashed at every corner. They're just trashing us. They give, a group comes out and they make a mockery and a fool out of themselves so that anything they teach, that there is even true things that they teach in there, goes down with it. And you're grouped right away with them because that's what they learned all their life staring at the TV. And that's what they learned growing up in school, okay? Because if you're not with the majority, you're a loser, you know? You got to be going along to get along with the world, or else you're going to be deemed a loser and a heretic and hater and stuff like this. Why can't people believe these simple truths? Why? And it's like I'm giving up even writing comments and stuff, or I'm doing it a little differently because obviously it's like giving pearls to swine, and it just makes me look worse, or bad, I should say. It's what they try to do every time. See, they're snakes, you know. Right away they call you out for your judgmental stuff just because you give truth and true meaning to the words. Then they say you're some kind of judgmental heretic, condemning everyone. Never forget, I don't teach anything that's not in Scripture. It's not me who said and came up with originally, okay, that you're Antichrist if you don't believe he came in the flesh. Why don't you believe that? Go and call John a heretic then. Take it up to the Father. Don't take it up with me. I don't have a problem doing what the saints did, teaching truth and calling out lies for what they are. Doesn't mean I have a personal hatred towards them. But I can and will hate what they teach. Just like Messiah did. Hated what they taught, right? He didn't pull out a sword and start cutting them up, taking them down, you know. In fact, when one of his disciples tried to do that to the Roman dude, he said, put it down. You have no idea what you're doing, man. Put your sword down. This is not a physical war. So the Messiah taught it before the Apostle Paul did. Like I said, I want to do a video one day on connecting all these things, but that means I'd have to read like the whole entire New Testament and get a notebook by me and mark down all the connections I see. It would be quite the work. Probably be good for me anyways, but it would be quite a bit of work. Maybe I'll have to do that though. Try to convince people that the Apostle Paul was not teaching something different or heretical. That he wasn't a Freemason or some kind of devil. You know. There's not too many people that think that believe that, but there are some. And it's interesting because prophecy in Scripture, I don't know exactly where, Jeremiah, somewhere, you know, Genesis, Malachi, prophesy of somebody spreading the news to the Gentiles. If not Paul, then who on earth was it? Because the Messiah said, don't go to the Gentiles, to the 12 disciples. Stay with the, Jews, to the Jew first, okay? So then who is the one that would fulfill the Scriptures that went out to the Gentiles? Had to be Paul. Who else? So the Scriptures teach that. Maybe, I don't know how I'm going to find that right now. Prophecy of Gentiles in Old Testament Scripture. I don't think I'm going to find it like that. Isaiah 56 maybe. Thus saith Yahuwah, keep justice and do righteousness. What's he want us to do? Keep justice and do righteousness, for my salvation is about to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. My righteousness. Is that what Paul taught? He taught that. He said that the Jews were putting on their own righteousness and not the Father's righteousness. It's his righteousness, not your righteousness, you know. But of course you can say my righteousness if you have the proper understanding, you know. He who does what's righteous is himself righteous. But, you know, we know where it comes from. My righteousness is to be revealed. Blessed is the man who does this, and the son of man who lays hold on it, who keeps from defiling the Sabbath, and keeps his hand from doing any evil. Wow, that's a very powerful verse right here that I never saw connected with the Sabbath. I think I'm going to have to do a separate video and end this one right now. So that's it. Peace.